from the original Rocky Horror Show ended up actually doing the Rocky Horror Picture Show. There was quite a few of you guys.
Yes, there was, and now that he's not in the room,
Okay.
I mean, we love Barry to bits, but in fact, the director I think he wanted the entire cast in the film, and he wasn't allowed to have, he really wanted to have the original Brad, Chris Malcolm. Was Chris the original Brad? Yeah, he was the original Brad, but he wasn't allowed to have him. So...
Was there a reason for that?
Yes, because that was warm finally after that freezing fast place. Yes, the reason was very simple, and in the eyes of 20th Century Fox, it was money. They said you need to have two Americans, and they need to sort of have some kind of name. And Barry had got the Tony playing in Greece, and Susan had, she'd only done 2 or 3 things, I think. But anyway, they were worth using, and of course they both were fabulous. But every other person in it, except for the narrator, who we call in the play called the narrator, the chronologist in the film. The original narrator played Dr. Scott. In the play, Eddie was also played Dr. Scott, and then this way, and then our original narrator played Dr. Scott. Do you remember his name? Jonathan Adams. I can't believe I've forgotten his name. He's sadly dead now. He was the most heavenly man. Because in the show, in the tiny theatre, we all were in the same dressing room. And even when we moved down the road to King's Road, to a slightly bigger theatre, still, like, I think Tim had his own dressing room, and all the rest of us were in one dressing room. So we all got to know each other very well. Of course, I didn't give a hoot about getting dressed on and off in front of everybody. Some things never change. Anyway.
So, we had spoken briefly yesterday about how Tim Curry is going on to do this remake for Fox.
Yeah.
And there's yet to be a casting for Columbia.
Well, that's a very hard part.
No, yeah, right. She's available. I can sing it.
Yeah.
But do you think that there is somebody now, maybe a known celebrity, that you think could play the role of Columbia?
Yes. Everyone is replaceable. I was told that by an agent a long time ago. It's
really?
True. Absolutely. I mean, it's like when you read, it's always fascinating to read iconic films, and they'll say, guess who turned this role down? And you can't believe it.
Oh, sure.
Like somebody I know turned down the role that Sharon Tate took in, what was the movie where she opened her legs? Basic Instinct. Yeah.
Right.
Someone I know was offered that, and the boyfriend had said to her, she had a child by another man, he said, you shouldn't do that role because imagine what your little boy will think when he grows up. That one has never been heard of again. I mean, but you know, I don't know if that's relevant, but yeah, I just think that, for instance, in London, in the small theatre right now, they have put on a production of Funny Girl. And I just read lots of the reviews online. It's already got to transfer to the West End in London. And the writers, the critics were saying, Funny Girl is hardly ever put on because people don't think anyone could live up to Barbara Streisand. And so finally someone's put a production on and they went, this girl, she hasn't got Barbara Streisand's voice. Who has, other than Barbara Streisand? But they said her comic timing is better than Barbara Streisand. And I think Barbara Streisand she gave us so little. I mean, she's still alive, but Barbara Streisand, don't you think she should have done way more films? She's such a great comedian, and she wanted to be behind the camera. She was such a natural. I always feel that we were deprived of her and Michael Jackson. We never got enough of Michael Jackson. I told Quincy Jones once that Michael Jackson's got to be in a musical. Imagine how brilliant he'd be. I
When he
mean,
was in The Wiz, right?
that's right, he was, and I didn't see that. But he should have done a musical on the stage, even if he'd done it for 3 months, and then he just could have done so much.
Well, that's another musical that they just remade, but you were saying, people are replaceable, but I mean, think about it. Rocky Horror is so iconic. And I mean, what is it like for you going to these conventions? And I mean, you see people dressed like your characters.
I'm so flattered and thrilled. I love it that, it's so much fun. I just get a big kick out of it.
Hi.
What do you want, darling?
Do you know where your handler is?
My handler? Oh, where is she?
It's a vanishing act.
She was just sitting there. It's all gone horribly wrong. It was great when it all began 10 minutes ago. Where are we up to, darling?
Well, when you started out, did you ever think, like, well, one day we'll be going to conventions, people can be dressed like me?
Of course not. As I say, it was this tiny theatre. I was, I think, 20, and it was the first show I'd been in London, and I just was, thrilled to be in it, and I was ecstatic that it was a hit and continued. We all paid £18, which is the equivalent of about $30 a week.
Can you actually, Pat was telling a story, and she was saying how you had done it for so many weeks, and she's like, I don't want to do it anymore, and they're like, no, we're going to move.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm not getting paid enough, she's got a kid, and then she was telling us that she came in, and David Bowie and Mick Jagger were down there. She's like, I walked by them so casually, and then she went up to where all of you were changing, and she didn't notice that you were like solemn or whatever. And she's like, Mick Jagger's down there. And then she went and changed in the bathroom because she was modest or whatever.
Right, that's
and
her story,
she
yeah.
Came back and realized that you guys were upset or whatever because Rocky
Oh,
was sick.
it was a nightmare.
And
It was
she
our
said,
last performance.
So you weren't going to do it, and then somehow just moved on, and then we ended up opening up. So it's
No,
what happened to
I'll
that
tell you.
story?
Obviously, Pat has the most brilliant memory, so she's the one to ask details. She's amazing, and also she's so funny. So she's brilliant at doing Q. Always go to her Q&As. Obviously, this is the first time I've ever done one on my own. We're usually as we go together, the three of us. But anyway, it was the last night at the theatre upstairs. We had a 6-week run, and that was it. And we were going to transfer to a cinema halfway down the King's Road. And for it was the last night. I don't remember if David Bowie was there. He certainly came to the show, but Mick Jagger was there. It was a star-studded crowd, and we all got changed. We were all ready to go on, and then they said, there's a doctor in with the guy that was playing Rocky, and he got some glitter. A piece. The glitter was quite big, actually, as it wasn't like glitter that you do with a little, like a drawing saying you sprinkle glitter on it. It was sort of square-shaped glitter. Got a bit of glitter in his foreskin.
What?
Yeah.
I did not see the story going that way at
Yeah. In which case you would think he'd be able to get it out. But they even got a doctor in, and the doctor said no, he can't go on. It was so painful for him.
all. Oh my god.
So can you imagine what that was like for us? We had to we were so disappointed. And because it was the last night, it wasn't like they could. They came back when it was down the road. But anyway.
So it was already planned on moving. It wasn't like they had to be there for it to move.
Oh no, it was already planned. No, it wasn't because of that. But Pat did leave quite soon, and also she didn't want to do the movie. She tell you that story?
Yes.
Yeah.
She turned them down.
I mean, don't you
and
love
she saw
Pat?
the sets, and she's like,
And there's
oh,
no one
I'll
more
do
into
this.
Rocky Horror now than Pat. And she was like, oh no, and because she moved on. I remember sort of being envious of her that she had another job to go on, that she was asked to be in the film about the suffragettes, the TV series about the suffragettes, because there's a big movie on right now. Well, she was in the TV version, playing one of those, what's the Cup family? Anyway.
Well, you went on to do Shop and Treat then.
I did. Tiny role.
Right.
No, I did other things, but yeah. I thought at that point that, Pat and I should have our own song. What do you think, guys? Don't you reckon?
Yeah.
And I know there wasn't a cult then, but I just felt that we'd earned our stripes, and we certainly had the gifts to do it.
what's it been? It's been 40 years now. So can we contact Richard O'Brien and say it's
Oh.
never too late? Like,
I've actually been in contact with Richard lately over Christmas.
and how's he doing?
He's great. He's living in New Zealand, and he's got he's very happy with his German wife. And as you know, he is from New Zealand. Please observe that Richard O'Brien is from New Zealand, and Jim Sharman was from Australia. The set designer, Brian Thompson, was from Australia, and I'm from Australia. So I'm just saying.
I live in Australia now.
There
So
you go.
I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
A lot of talent from down under.
Shoot, so
And I also, but hold that thought, this is what I really want to point out to you all. So much of why we are all here now is because of Jim Sharman and Brian Thompson. I know that Richard O'Brien wrote this incredible thing, so he's number one. But Jim Sharman and Brian Thompson were both, or are both, well, they're huge talents. And together they were even like 1 and 1 makes 3, because they both had, it was just their flair and taste and enormous originality. I mean, if you think like, okay, you're going to have to do it, Brian, could you please design a set for a laboratory? And you do pink, a pink look. I mean, come on. It's with that whole, the back thing, you know what I mean? It is very, and it looks so great on screen. I mean, there is so much about what those two brought to what that script was. And so I just want to put it out there that, and also Jim Sharman's casting of every character. All the characters you love, he cast so cleverly, I think.
do you still live in Australia, or do you?
I've gone back. I lived a long, long time. I'm 703 now, darling. Thank you. That's ever since I joined the Navy. I think it's a great effect on me. Should I get this in red as well? Do you think? Because I think I'm going to start working for the conventions. It's so great.
Did you get that here?
Yes.
Oh my god! I
bought it yesterday.
Every day.
I have this outfit which I planned on wearing today, which is made of cream silk. I just thought, I don't know, on a sort of damp Sunday down in that freezing room.
Oh, yeah.
I thought no, and then I just thought, I bought this for my daughter, and I just thought, let me just try that on, and I was like, oh honey, I'm home.
No, it's super cute.
But do you think I should get the red, or the hands up, or is it because it's just the navy's best though, isn't it? You think red too?
I think
Because I think I'm gonna wear this all the time.
don't live to regret it. Just go for it.
Yeah, and the security guy on the way up told me that I'm called Sailor Moon.
Yeah, you are.
Did you know that's who I was?
Yeah.
I thought I was just, trying to
That's
help.
like another big thing with these conventions.
I thought I was just out to stop ISIS.
But I think the red will match the shoes.
Oh, there's
so.
that too. Well, these are my like what I on the plane wear, and I thought they looked better than the other ones anyway. But I had to go and get leggings and tie. It's so cold in this glorious Florida of yours.
Yeah, I think that's the best time. But I was gonna say, does anybody have any questions for Nell? I mean, anything whatsoever? Maybe some.
There's a question brought up in Mary's panel, which was earlier, and I wanted to get your perspective on it.
Yeah.
The shadow cast of Rocky Horror, it was brought up that it's kind of evolved into this kind of over-sexualized, over-stimulated. It's I've heard they're more traditional casts where they actually portray
Know the lines.
they portray it as kind of as tight as they can, as exact to the movie as they can. Whereas obviously the one the other night that had their own little imperfections.
Well,
so
sorry.
do you have an opinion on how kind of that's evolved from since it started and what the state of the shadow casting is now?
Well, I think in a nutshell, when it began, it was all about the film, and now it's all about the shadow cast. I think the shadow cast are more into themselves. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I think I think they like all that pre-show stuff, and I think they like being on the stage and talking and being themselves almost more than they do and they're into themselves. Whereas before it was much more to do with the film. So I think that's why, like when you said they don't, they knew the lyrics. Also, the calling out, as I said in our panel Q&A yesterday, there wasn't nearly as much calling out. And it was sort of better that way because what they'd say was very witty and concise, and also I don't like the way it's become, and Richie O'Brien says this and Barrett, we all agree, it's become quite vulgar. And one of the joys of Rocky Horror, there's nothing vulgar about it. When people say, oh, I'm waiting for my little Johnny to, be 18 before he walks, I was like, what on earth in that show can a child not see? Because if you think, there's a sheet in front of the people and nothing actually happens, and it goes over the head of a child anyway, so what the hell?
Right.
That's my feeling. So I encourage all of you to let your young children watch that, because the songs and the dances are so perfect for young children.
I first saw it when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
But to be perfectly honest, I didn't understand it.
Right, and the same if you're 3. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of sparkle and joy in that show.
And the music is just so great.
Yeah.
That even if you don't understand what's going on, who doesn't want a time war?
And one other thing I wanted to say about what you're talking about, and I don't know if any of the shadow cast are here, but it is disappointing to me that that introduction last night, for instance, and it's with a lot of the shadow casts, it's become quite rather aggressive and angry. And when that man was talking about the virgins, it was always like, what the hell, and what. I mean, how great that there were so many people there that had never seen it before, that they could all see it here together. And so I wish it hadn't. I do wish that element was not in it. I wish it would, because it's a joyous. I just want people to get a kick out of it, fun, joy, and not have an angry person. Because Frank wasn't really. I mean, he had that kind of filmatic evil to him, but other than that, he was an upbeat guy.
What kind of intro was it? What did they?
They were like, get the F out, or it was just.
And like, you're a virgin, oh, you've ruined it now for all of us. And I was like, good Lord, it was really odd.
They were trying to do like an initiation thing.
Sure.
That's right.
So they were trying to organize everyone in a line, and they were, it's. I would compare it to like hazing for fraternities.
Oh, I've seen
Not as like.
It wasn't like normal.
And it wasn't fun. It
Yeah.
wasn't fun. Pat had to intervene. She stood up and told her to get the film on.
Yeah.
Because I think
Like
also
normal.
it takes way too long for the film to start.
Yeah.
And isn't that
Did
what
you
everyone's
stay
there
for the whole thing?
No.
I didn't think that you and Barry stayed.
No, Pat stayed, and
Yeah.
I stayed.
I've
stayed. In the last 3 months, I've seen it three times at conventions, or 2 months. The last
A
2
shadow
months.
cast? Or
Yeah. Well, actually, the Albert Hall, I cannot believe this. They did not allow a shadow cast. Guess who didn't allow the shadow cast? 20th Century Fox, apparently. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. But anyway, well, that's what I was told. But it might not be true. But anyway, because why wouldn't you? It's so much fun, and if everyone arrived dressed to the nines, and it was like, that's what everyone wants to see. That's what makes it a lot more fun.
have you ever done like a shadow cast of yourself before?
No, but I've joined in with the Columbias. I did that in New York, which was fabulous fun in October. And I've done that, and I if ever I'm watching it, I always actually pretty much do that, because they get a kick out of it and I get a kick out of it.
Do you have a favorite scene? Or
Oh, I'll do the time walk with them.
Oh,
yeah. I'll do the tapping with the girl and everything. So, but yes, I don't know what to say. They're sort of out of our hands, but it is that. But I just want to stay on the positive with that show. And I don't, as you say, it's like a hazing situation. I'm very anti-hazing or anything of that nature. Everybody, it's all about kindness in life, and all of you that are single, that is the thing to look for in a partner. Kindness.
How does Richard O'Brien feel about what it's become?
Well, he, as you know, it's sort of public knowledge that he hasn't got a great relationship with Fox. You know that, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
he sticks with the play, the stage.
So he doesn't really see the film. I cannot tell you how sad that makes me. That Richard isn't a part of these events ever, or even just at the 40th anniversary. It would have been so great because he did write a perfect musical. 90 minutes long, every song is great, the characters are so much fun, and it's so original that nothing's been anything like it, has it?
I know these days, like, bless you.
Bless you.
I know that they're trying to do the same thing with Sound of Music, where you go to the theater and you.
Oh yeah, that's been around for a long time.
Right, but no, nothing's like that.
Well, the thing that Rocky Horror has got on top of everything else is sex. Because I didn't see Rent, but I've never heard a song from Rent, whereas we all, so they can't be that great. So, or I've heard that, right?
It's pretty good.
But to me, the most original musical since Rocky Horror was The Book of Mormon.
Yes.
I mean, that's the first time. And the night before, I saw it on Broadway. The night before, I went to see which Cole Porter musical, the one on the boat. Anything Goes. I went to see Anything Goes, and with a friend of mine, and I know the musical well. I know all the songs, and I worship Cole Porter. And I thought, this is just absolute bliss. I adore everything about this musical. It was written, 80 years ago, right? The next morning he phoned me, said, you won't believe it, I've got 2 tickets for it's impossible to get tickets. It's just open. I've got 2 matinee tickets, in 3 hours for the Book of Mormon. So off we go to the Book of Mormon. So the night before, Cole Porter, 1920s musical, /30s, and then the Book of Goddamn Mormon. And I was like, and I enjoyed it. I just thought, this is the greatest contrast you could possibly imagine, and they were both so well done. And can you believe that the guys that wrote, what's their animated South Park, that they wrote the songs as well? That was incredible because the songs were great. So that's what I think. But I wish they hadn't had that detail about the baby and the raping of the baby. I wish it had been something else. That's the image we don't want that in our,
That's the hint of South Park.
That's true. That's the bit I didn't go for. But anyway, I just wish that we could remove that part. But otherwise, I thought it was just fabulous.
Any other questions? I know you guys have some questions.
I have a question, but I cannot remember what it was, but I wanted to ask something about the, she was telling me last night we were watching the movie, and, I think it was with the commentary where they were saying that you totally snuck up on Tim Curry with the line about he's okay.
No, the thing about he's okay is that in the play, we used to do it the opposite way. We used to both go, oh, no, I was thinking about, not okay, I was thinking about an accident. Sorry. No, it wasn't impromptu, if that's what you mean. No, he knew. No, the bit that was, I'll tell you what was impromptu, what he didn't know is when Barry gives me the clothes and I throw them back. Jim Sharma came up and just said, take the clothes and then just throw them away. And so we didn't tell him. So that was a real reaction. Yeah.
Were you close with a lot of the cast when you were filming the movie?
Absolutely. I was very good friends with Jim and the director and Brian Thompson and absolutely with, Richard and Tim. Well, everybody, except I didn't know, obviously, Susan and Barry, but it's funny to think of it, but the same car would pick me up and then pick Susan up. And I don't know if there was anyone else, but I think it was just the 2 of us, and drive us was about an hour to Bray Studios from London. So she and I were in a car every day, just the 2 of us, 1 hour this way, 1 hour that. So I got to know Susan quite well.
So they were essentially, they were the new kids on the block.
Oh, absolutely, and they fit in brilliantly. So it was great, So it was a very happy 5 weeks. Can you believe it? We made that to make a musical in 5 weeks. I mean, poor Jim had a gun to his head,
Were there any crazy behind the scenes stories that maybe not a lot of people know about that happened?
Well, the only sort of, I think everyone knows this now, that the guy who was driving the motorbike that wasn't me, both on a motorbike driving around, and he actually came off. He accidentally drove off that thing. He did the ramp. He didn't go. He had an accident and came off. That was pretty dramatic.
Really?
Yeah. You know how it's like curved like that. But because it was quite a hard thing to do because you had to go quite fast in a very short area. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's only like being in this room. If you have to go really fast, like right there.
What about the hole in the wall? Like, was the set built incorrectly when Dr. Scott came through the hall and the magenta came through? Or that's what I heard about. I heard that.
No, that was just how it was supposed to be.
Okay, so he was supposed to come through the wall.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the only way in was through the elevator.
Oh, I see what you mean. Why didn't they take the elevator?
Sure, I mean,
I never thought of that before. Didn't they? Or the stairs? Right! God damn it! I mean, it's like, why the hell did you come? It's a very, very good. There was stairs, there was an elevator. That is so funny. Why would you do that? Yeah. I remember them shooting that scene that he had to, because it was obviously, would he get hurt? Even coming through a fake wall, anything could happen. Yeah.
what about Rocky? Was he the original Rocky?
No, he wasn't. And what you need to know right now is that back then, in those long, long forgotten days, no one worked out. No one went to gyms. One of the first people ever to go to a gym was me. And I joined a gym, because I used to study ballet and dance, and so I'm in London, and I'm not athletic at all, but I dance is everything I do. So I decided to, I joined a gym at a fancy hotel called the Grosvenor. I can't believe it was so cheap. Now it would be a fortune, where they had a gym which was about a quarter the size of this. I mean, it was so small. And the only other person in that gym was Christopher Reeve, who was training to be Superman. And he and I would work out, and I would do my, practically balletic yoga stretches and whatever, maybe lift the odd weight. But it was unheard of. There was a swimming pool, and as an Aussie, of course, I used to love the swimming pool. And so that's where I worked out. But the reason Peter Inwood is obviously incredibly handsome with an incredible physique, and he was a sweet guy, but he'd never acted before at all. He's never acted since, and I'd say acting is not his forte.
You didn't have to act.
But now, if you were casting that role, you'd be able to easily find someone who looks great, who can sing, But does he sing?
Yes,
Yes,
sort of
definitely. Yeah, exactly. And that's not him singing, I don't think, is it? No. Yeah. But anyway, the great thing is he works really well in the film, and he's so gorgeous. But just want you to know that was always a challenge to cast that role.
Have they casted a Rocky yet?
Yeah, I think they did.
Did they?
Is he a model or something?
No.
Oh, I think he's from Game of Thrones, actually.
Yes. Oh, okay.
Sorry, this is going to be kind of an offshoot question. You just mentioned that you met Christopher Reeve while he was training for Superman.
Yeah.
And I just learned yesterday, David Prowse, who was the physical Darth Vader, the man in the costume, trained Christopher Reeve for that role. Did you ever cross paths in the gym?
No, but I wouldn't know if I did. But it's funny that he was there working out at that when you only gym in London practically, except when you used to learn to box. Everything's changed so much, hasn't it?
Have you crossed paths with anybody here that you've been a little excited to see?
Well, I love Billie Piper. I just don't know. I've always thought she's so adorable, and I always love it when someone is not the ideal figure. I mean, I think it's great any comedians now that make it, because it's just, I get sick of everyone looking so perfect, and you know what I'm talking about. And, but she's gotten very slim, hasn't she? Anyway, I love Billie Piper. The name Billie Piper, I totally adore it. Oh, it's so great. And so I was sort of thrilled to see her. And then my daughter, who's 17, said, "You've got to get your photo taken with the science guy." And of course, I'd never heard of him.
Bill
And
Nye.
Bill Nye. And so I posed with the science guy, and I don't think my Facebook and Instagram went,
Yeah, he was a big hit this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. He can work a crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about, okay, I forget which anniversary it was for. It was 25th or 30th. They released, some CDs, so Rocky Horror in other languages, like so international. And then there was a couple songs from you.
Oh yeah, that I'd made.
Spin around like a record.
Yeah.
So what were you ever
Those
pursuing?
songs were, Brian Thompson wrote the lyrics to those songs, the set designer of Rocky, and Richard Hartley, who was the musical director of Rocky, they wrote the music. So they were actually Rocky Horror people that I did those songs with, and produced by the record labels, A&M Records. Anyway, but that's where they're from.
So did you ever actively try to pursue a music career?
I did. My talent seems to be appreciated.
But you did mention that you still tap.
Oh yeah, I still tap. And I certainly sing, along with whatever, but anyway, here I am, leggings and all.
Looking so cute.
Thank you.
In your Sailor Moon outfit.
Yeah.
But we still have a couple more minutes. If anybody has some last minute questions, don't live to regret it. The time is now.
The thing that was on, what was the BBC, the live,
It was
where Richard
last
O'Brien,
year.
and
They
they had
I think
everybody
it was an
come in
anniversary. They did a live.
and
Oh,
different
show.
narrators. Were you there?
I think what you're referring to is
multicast.
the Royal Court's 50th birthday,
Okay.
which was the theatre that we first began in. We're at the little upstairs theatre, and when they turned 50, they asked everybody to vote for their favourite production in the 50-year history of the theatre, and it was the Rocky Horror Show. So they flew us all in from around the world, and they put a production on that and sadly they didn't have us pay any of our parts, but they had various people playing just the way the Shadowcast does. Some, like several people, a different Frank got each song of his, and a different, they did that. And it was great because Richard was there, Tim wasn't there, Pat was there, I was there. Who else? Anyway, that's what it must have been that you saw.
Anything else you want to cover before? I mean, this is incredible. To have the opportunity just to sit and room with you is really
You're
amazing.
adorable.
And learn. Any other questions, guys?
What was your reaction when you actually found out like Rocky Horror Picture Show was actually such a success, or like has a big cult following?
Well, I suppose it all began slowly, as Pat was saying in the Q&A yesterday. But first we heard about it happening in New York, and then we were all brought together, and so it was sort of fun and exciting, and we were thrilled that people were enjoying the film because, as you know, when it first opened, it didn't get great reviews. So we were thrilled people were enjoying it in that way, and also that the audience participation is a completely new and original thing for a film. So thrilled, and as if, again, we could foresee that 40 years later we'd still be enjoying the fact that people are still performing in front of it and love to get so much out of the characters. I can't think of another film that's had the effect that Rocky's had. Because, as in the Q&A yesterday, I said, because of the sexuality, and it helps people feel they can come out
Sure.
in whatever.
You can be with whoever you want to be at the
Yeah.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, and the fact that different sexes play all the different parts, and what the trans world now. I just like to think that we have helped, because it's just too awful that people are either gay or trans or whatever they are, that they feel they can't tell their parents, or it must be. Can you imagine what a nightmare? And I think that a lot of Americans are very conservative, and other countries too. So if we can help in any way give people confidence to do that, that's just a great thing.
And I think that's a really good message to end on.
Thank you, darling.
And thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and thank you again for coming.
Nell Campbell.
I really appreciate it.